Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi, the Conqueror, was a Imam and General of the Adal Sultanate who invaded Abyssinia and defeated several Abyssinian emperors. With the help of an army mainly composed of Somalis, Harla, Afars, Arabs and Ottoman Turks, Imam Ahmad, all meaning the left-handed, embarked on a conquest which brought three-quarters of Abyssinia under the power of the Muslim Sultanate of Adal during the Abyssinian-Adal War, from 1529 to 43. Ethnicity. Imam Ahmad is referenced to in original sources and regarded by many scholars as an ethnic Somali. However, a few historians have disputed his ethnicity, with Ahmad sometimes interpreted as being an Arab or Harari in Ethiopia. According to the chief source, Fatah al-Abbasa, Somali clans contributed heavily to the Muslim conquest of Abyssinia. The clans mentioned in the Fatah al-Abbasa primarily included the Habba Makadi, Makadir of the Gadabursi, the Issa, other Dir subclans, the Marian, and other Darid subclans. Early years. Imam Ahmad was born in 1506, just 30 miles away from Harra. Ahmad spent most of his childhood in the city of Harra. Due to the Islamic rule during the reign of Sultan Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad, Ahmad would leave Harra for Habat. He married Bati del-Wambra, the daughter of Mafut, the governor of Zila. In 1531, Bati would give birth to the first child named Muhammad. When Mafut was killed returning from a campaign against the Abyssinian Emperor Lebna Dengel in 1517, the Adal Sultanate lapsed into anarchy for several years, until Imam Ahmad killed the last of the contenders for power and took control of Harra. Ethiopian historians such as Isajtino and Bari have written that during the period of his rise to power, Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi had converted many Oromo-pastoral people to Islam. In retaliation for an attack on Adal the previous year by the Abyssinian general Digal Han, Imam Ahmad invaded Abyssinia in 1529, supplementing his force with considerable numbers of muskets purchased from the Ottomans, which would panic the Abyssinian troops. Imam Ahmad maintained the discipline of most of his men, defeating Emperor Lebna Dengel at Shibra that March. Conquest of Abyssinia. The chronicle of Imam Ahmad's invasion of Abyssinia is depicted in various Somali, Abyssinian and other foreign sources. Imam Ahmad campaigned in Abyssinia in 1531, breaking Emperor Lebna Dengel's ability to resist in the Battle of Ambersela on October 28. The Muslim army of Imam Ahmad then marched northward to loot the island monastery of Lake Hayq and the stone churches of Lalibela. When the Imam entered the province of Tigray, he defeated an Abyssinian army that confronted him there. On reaching Aksum, he destroyed the church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, in which the Abyssinian emperors had for centuries been crowned. The Abyssinians were forced to ask for help from the Portuguese, who landed at the port of Massawa on February 10, 1541. During the reign of the Emperor Gelorgius, the force was led by Christopher da Gama and included 400 musketeers as well as a number of artisans and other non-combatants. Da Gama and Imam Ahmad met on April 1, 1542 at Jart, which Trimmingham has identified with an assa between Amber Alagai and Lake Ashenge. Here the Portuguese had the first glimpse of Ahmad, as recorded by Castanhazo. While his camp was being pitched, the king of Zila ascended a hill with several horse and some foot to examine us. He halted on the top with 300 horse and 3 large banners, 2 white with red moons, and 1 red with a white moon, which always accompanied him and which he was recognized. On April 4, after the two unfamiliar armies had exchanged messages and stared at each other for a few days, Da Gama formed his troops into an infantry square and marched against the Imam's lines, repelling successive waves of Muslim attacks with musket and cannon. This battle ended when Imam Ahmad was wounded in the leg by a chance shot. Seeing his banners signal retreat, the Portuguese and their Abyssinian allies fell upon the disorganized Muslims, who suffered losses but managed to reform next to the river on the distant side. Over the next several days, Imam Ahmad's forces were reinforced by arrivals of fresh troops. Understanding the need to act swiftly, da Gama on April 16 again formed a square which he led against Imam Ahmad's camp. Although the Muslims fought with more determination than 2 weeks earlier, the horse almost broke the Portuguese square. An opportune explosion of some gunpowder traumatized the horses on the Imam's side, and his army fled in disorder. Castanhazo laments that the victory would have been complete this day had we only 100 horses to finish it, for the king was carried on men's shoulders in a bed, accompanied by horsemen, and they fled in no order. Reinforced by the arrival of the Barnegas Yeshak, da Gama marched southward after Imam Ahmad's force, coming within sight of him 10 days later. However, the onset of the rainy season prevented da Gama from engaging Ahmad a third time. On the advice of Queen Sabla Wengel, da Gama made winter camp at Wofla near Lake Ashenge, still within sight of his opponent, while the Imam made his winter camp on Mount Zabul. Knowing that victory lay in the number of firearms an army had, the Imam sent to his fellow Muslims for help. According to Abayjawa Bermudes, Imam Ahmad received 2,000 musketeers from Arabia and artillery and 900 picked men from the Ottomans to assist him. Meanwhile, due to casualties and other duties, da Gama's force was reduced to 300 musketeers. After the rains ended, Imam Ahmad attacked the Portuguese camp and through weight of numbers killed all but 140 of da Gama's troops. Da Gama himself, badly wounded, was captured with 10 of his men and, after refusing an offer to spare his life if he would convert to Islam, was executed. The survivors and Emperor Georgius were afterward able to join forces and, drawing on the Portuguese supplies of muskets, attacked Ahmad on February 21, 1543 in the Battle of Waina Daga, where the vastly outnumbered troops of 9,000 managed to defeat the 15,000 soldiers under Gran. Gran was killed by a Portuguese musketeer who was mortally wounded in avenging da Gama's death. His wife Bati del Wambra managed to escape the battlefield with a remnant of the Turkish soldiers, and they made their way back to Harla, where she rallied his followers. Intent on avenging her husband's death, she married his nephew Anwar ibn Mujahid on condition that Anwar would avenge Imam Ahmad's defeat. In 1554–55, Anwar departed on a jihad, or holy war, in the eastern Abyssinian lowlands of Bail and Hadiyah. In 1559, he invaded Fatiga, where he fought against the Abyssinian Emperor Galaudius, and killed him in battle. Anwar continued fighting for 12 years until, according to legend, at Jaib he said "Kafa," or enough, and returned to Harla. Legacy. In Ethiopia, the damage which Ahmad granted has never been forgotten, wrote Paul B. Hence, every Christian Highlander still hears tales of Gran in his childhood. Haile Selassie referred to him in his memoirs. I have often had villages in northern Ethiopia point out sites of towns, forts, churches and monasteries destroyed by Gran as if these catastrophes had occurred only yesterday. To most Somalis, Ahmad is a national hero who fought against Abyssinian aggression on their ancient territories.